Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer of the Unix Professor's Guide. Today, we are doing something really exciting. We're fundamentally changing how you look at the Unix shell. We are taking it from a basic text interface and elevating it to what it really is, a powerful, highly expressive communication layer. If you want to actually command the system rather than just politely ask it to do things, you are in the exact right place. Let's dive in.
Here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the Unix golden rule, then move into the logic of the find command and how to connect commands with pipes. After that, we've got smart filtering with awk, mastering escapes and quotes, and finally, the final challenge.
All right, part 1, the Unix golden rule.
Before we even think about writing a single line of code, there's a foundational concept we have to get right. There's this fantastic quote from the Professor's Companion Guide that really hits the nail on the head. It goes, "Think of the Unix shell not as an archaic text interface, but as a direct, highly expressive communication layer with the operating system kernel." We aren't here to just memorize commands or look for shortcuts, right? We're here to grasp the pure architectural logic behind these engineering decisions. So, why does the 42 curriculum absolutely mandate using /bin shash instead of the newer, flashier shells out there, like bash or zsh? Well, it all boils down to one thing, the POSIX standard. Targeting this pure standard is basically your golden ticket to ultimate compatibility. It literally guarantees that the scripts you write are going to run flawlessly on everything from a tiny embedded server all the way up to a massive mainframe.
Moving right along to part 2, the logic of the find command.
Let's put this into practice and talk about how we actually search for files on a machine. In exercise 2, the goal is to find all the shell files in a directory and its subdirectories, but we only want to display the base name. The setup here is actually brilliant. We use find dot to target our current directory, and then for every single file it discovers, we use the -exec flag to dynamically run the basename command on it. This just cleanly strips away that .sh suffix. It's incredibly efficient.
But you might be wondering, why do we need to throw a -type F into that command? Well, this highlights a massive tip for Unix beginners. You have to filter explicitly to avoid those really common annoying errors. By adding -type F, we are strictly telling the system to only give us regular files. We're deliberately filtering out any random directories that just coincidentally happen to end in .sh. Precision is everything here.
Okay, part 3, connecting commands with pipes.
Now, this is where the magic really happens. I want you to picture pipes kind of like a factory assembly line. Raw data goes in one end, moves down the belt, and gets transformed step by step. Take exercise 1, for example. We need to print user groups separated by commas. First, we extract the raw user data with id-gn. But by default, that just gives us names separated by spaces. So what do? We literally pipe that output straight into tr, our translation tool, which perfectly swaps every single space into a comma, just like an assembly line.
But the assembly line isn't quite done yet. And here is a huge insider pro tip. Automated grading systems like Moulinette in the 42 Bootcamp check your output byte for byte. So if you have a hidden trailing new line or an extra space, bam, immediate failure. To save yourself that headache, appending a final pipe to trash D followed by a space is an absolute lifesaver. It safely deletes those invisible formatting traps before you get to the final output.
Next up, part 4, smart filtering with awk. All right, time to level up our toolkit. We're moving past basic character translation and diving into advanced data stream filtering. A lot of beginners, when trying to pull something like a MAC address from system logs, will try to jam grep and cut together. But as the guide clearly points out, that creates a really fragile pipeline. Awk is vastly superior for this. Why? Because awk handles pattern matching, like searching for the word ether, and field parsing, like printing exactly the second column, at the exact same time. It's incredibly robust. And the power of awk definitely doesn't stop at just grabbing columns. In exercise 6, where we need to skip alternating lines of an output, awk actually lets us use pure mathematical expressions. By checking if the record number, or NR, modulo 2 equals 1, we can effortlessly single out the odd lines. And here is the absolute best part. Unlike those GNU set extensions, this specific awk logic is fully portable across both BSD and macOS systems. You gotta love that cross-platform compatibility.
All right, part 5, mastering escapes and quotes. Brace yourselves for this one, because we are tackling what is, honestly, a total syntax nightmare for beginners. Take the file name required for exercise 5, for example. It's a terrifying string of characters. You've got asterisks, dollar signs, question marks all over the place. In a Unix shell, these meta characters possess special semantic meanings. They act as wildcards or variables. So if you want to pass them literally to the file system without triggering something crazy, you have to tame them.
This brings us to a super strict architectural rule of the shell. A single quote absolutely cannot exist directly inside other single quotes. If you try it, the interpreter just breaks. So, what's the workaround? Well, you close the first single quote fragment, then you insert an escaped literal quote, and then you immediately reopen a new single quote fragment. Yeah, it looks totally wild when you type it out, but it guarantees your file name matches perfectly, entirely avoiding any shell expansion errors.
Let's take a quick breather and consolidate everything we've learned before the final exam. Here are 5 quick essential shell tricks you now have in your arsenal. Number 1, using tr-d to strip out dangerous trailing spaces. Number 2, dumping network interfaces with ifconfig. Number 3, safely parsing fields using the mighty awk. Number 4, counting new lines flawlessly with wc-l. And number 5, always strictly wrapping those literal meta characters in single quotes. Definitely keep these in your back pocket. And finally, part 6, the final challenge.
Okay, deep breath. This is it, the ultimate boss battle of this explainer, testing every single concept we've covered today. We're tasked with parsing the system's password file. Now, thinking about building a massive pipe chain to do this probably feels completely intimidating at first, but remember our factory assembly line metaphor? This whole process is really just a logical sequence of the tools we've already mastered, strung together to do something seriously impressive.
Let's walk down that assembly line together. First up, grep-v inverts our match to cleanly remove any commented lines. Then, awk steps in, using that clever math trick we learned to select only the even lines. Next, we drop in rev to reverse the strings and pass them right into sort-r to get them in reverse alphabetical order. Every single stage of this pipe has a very distinct, intentional purpose.
And crossing the formatting finish line requires that exact same precision. We use paste to dynamically merge our lines into a single string separated by commas. But the instructions demand exact spacing and a trailing period at the very end. So following the professor's breakdown, we use sed to meticulously swap in a comma followed by a space, and then we run a final sed command to append that one required period right at the end of the string. Absolute perfection. We've gone from the fundamental rules of the shell all the way to crafting these intricate, bulletproof data pipelines. You don't just know what the commands are anymore, you actually know the why behind them. So I'm going to leave you with one final provocative question. Now that you truly understand the architecture, are you ready to command the kernel? Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and I will catch you on the next one.